Welcome back to Perspectives, everyone. And this morning, our special guest panelist, we're talking to the Promoters Association, and the interim public relations officer, Mr. Montee Eddie Greenidge, is here with us. We say good morning to Eddie and welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning, Brenda, and good morning to your panel.
Morning.
Morning. It's good to be here. You know, on Perspective is a very popular program, I must say.
Thank you. We didn't know.
We're
joking.
Just mean by
I'm just being modest.
Yes.
Yes, it's really great to have you here. Thank you so much. So the whole situation, and I know Carnival is topical, yes, and Spice Mass, and the fact that we're going to have no formal Carnival, so to speak, and all of that. But even before we get there, in terms of where we are with the whole situation with COVID, how it has basically put a kind of damper on how we party and how we lime and so on, and the fact that many promoters, that's their livelihood.
Yeah.
So I know there's a situation where people just look at it as just they want to spit, but it's people's livelihood. Yeah, it's economics as well. And so just talk to us a bit about, you know, how this has affected the promoters in your organization.
Well, Brenda, I must say you touch on you hit the nail on the head with livelihoods. And as the Promoters Association, what we try to get across to people, this is not just about lives, it's about livelihood. And promoters represents a lot of families, a lot of people that are struggling. And at the end of the day, when you can't, people don't understand what it is to be hungry. And I use the word hunger because it's relative, in that, yes, you may see people getting by every day, or perceive to be getting by every day. You don't know what it is they have to do to make ends meet. You understand? Now, one of the challenges that we have had is that as a Promoters Association, we look around at the different entities and look around at the different sectors that has been brought to the table with regards to the reopening since the advent of COVID, right? And we think it's a responsibility for the authorities, just like how you reach out, whether it's to the airlift committee, whether it is to whoever the committees are, to give the entertainment industry, and I'm saying entertainment industry and not necessarily promoters, because promoters represent so much more than just the persons putting on events, right? And the thing about it is that there's so many people. I don't think there's any other sector that affects so many people's lives like entertainment. And I may not be able to go through the list of people, but just to give you a snapshot, the same entertainers like the Killers and whoever it is promoters that put on events, and as a result of that, they get work. The graphic designers, the persons that promote, whether it's social media, whether it's radio, whether it's the persons that voice in ads, whether it's the drinks companies, right? The deco artists, and there also is the people that is indirectly affected by it, like the hairdressers, the clothing stores. All these people are affected. As I said, I cannot go through the entire list because there's just so many people that is affected by this, and so thus far, I think that the industry has been given lip service, right? No, at the end of the day, we are not unreasonable people, right? What we think is that we looking for a seat at the table just the same to come up with a solution moving forward. And I think we have been given an opportunity because COVID is not going to be the last pandemic, right? So we're all talking about COVID and everybody fixated on COVID as though COVID is going to, that too shall pass, right? And we have an opportunity, whether it is through entertainment, whether it's education, to relook at things and revisit it, right? So our focus as the entertainment industry is to come up with a template, right? As to how to do business. Right. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we're working towards is to create a pilot. And what we're saying is that we are not going to be unreasonable and say, okay, well, we just want to have events. This, as I say, is we're trying to feed our families, right? So we want to be able to sit down with the authorities and come up with something that is workable for both parties.
Right.
So both of us could be comfortable.
Right.
Right? Because in the absence of that, what is happening is that there's this perceived things are going fine, things are not going fine, because if you paying attention, you would see events popping up all over the place that may or may not be adhering to whatever the protocols are.
Correct.
Right? So why not put this in a controlled environment whereby promoters no longer have to wonder, right? What do we expect from you, right? It's all well and good to put out a list of protocols that people have to follow, but that has to be in conjunction with something else. How do we move forward? How are we able to feed our families?
Right. So what approaches have you made as the entertainment industry, the Promoters Association? What approaches have you made to, let's say, the COVID committee?
Right.
To say, listen, these are our ideas. This is what we want to do. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, to go back a bit, since 2020, the latter part of 2020, we had reached out to the COVID committee, and we've had a couple of meetings, one via Zoom and the other in person, right? And we gave a number of recommendations. We've had sit-downs, we've had meetings, and I'll be lying if I said it was received in a positive way.
Do you get the feeling that entertainment is not priority?
Yes, you can't help but get that feeling, and I think it's not just about priority because there's other priorities. I think it's not given priority because there's a perception about entertainment. It's just like if you really have been paying attention over the years and you look at the genesis of entertainment, right? Whether it was steel pan or Calypsonians or soca, it have this gangster overtone, right?
Yeah.
As though we're not the upper echelon of society. Yeah. We don't represent that base. Yeah. So because we don't represent that base, I guess we don't get the time,
right,
and we don't get the seat like everyone else.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we keep this economy turning,
yeah,
right?
Well, you keep us feeling good. That's it for our psychological balance.
Well, of course. Even if you go, as a matter of fact, even if you go to a bank, one of the things they take into consideration in their matrix in giving you any kind of loan is entertainment.
That's
because
correct.
They understand that entertainment is a factor of life.
Yes.
Whatever type of entertainment you choose to have, they have to be entertainment.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, as I said, I think that when we reached out, to go back to what I was saying earlier, when we reached out to the COVID communities, there was some advances made. Remember, in December there was opening back up.
Right. And then we had the situation.
And then we had a situation where things had to be locked down, right? So, but sometimes you take those pluses, but you take it away with certain things. Okay, like people sometimes tell me, I'll be careful when you're in a position, as you were saying earlier on, I was listening to your discussion, how you come across. And I just think that, okay, to say, for instance, and not to say who says that, but that left up to me, there'll be no entertainment. I've heard this uttered more than one.
At a COVID committee meeting?
Of course.
Yeah, people need to keep their private convictions to themselves.
And as I say, sometimes is about people lifestyle.
Yeah.
That may be not your thing.
Keep
You understand?
quiet.
No, a lot of us like to say we in this together, and as I always say, that's relative.
Yeah.
And I say this is relative because really and truly, some people's lives have not changed, right? Have not changed because their everyday life was to go to work, go home, go to church, and socialize within their own circles.
Correct.
So going out in a public way in any kind of a entertainment environment, was just not their thing. And these are the people sometimes that make the decisions, and they are guided by their own convictions.
That's right.
No, I don't try to impose my will or way upon you. So at the end of the day, all I ask of the powers that be is to do what is required and do what we are all taxpayers.
Yeah.
Right? We expect you not to treat us any less than whether it's the airlift committee or the hotel, whatever the case may be. We are important too, right? And there's just so much you can take.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. I must say there's positives beyond the horizon because we have secured a meeting tomorrow with the Minister of Culture.
Okay.
Right? So our intention is to lay out what we think is a way forward.
Right. So you have plans.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. So because as I said, so far it has always been what we can do. Right?
Senator Daly, that fall right in your wheelhouse.
Yes.
Because of your personality and because of your science as a mediator, somebody who manages different personalities, an administrator, and you're sitting right at the top in that place where all they keep telling us, no, we can't jump up, no. We can't party. Why?
Montee have an excellent point in the reach of the entertainment industry to the average person is significant and extensive. There's no doubt about that. And there is significant fall off in people's ability to earn revenue as a result of the lockdown or the close down of the entertainment industry as we know it. Yeah. That is without a doubt. And there must be a way to do something that could give people some sort of relief. And I mean, the discussions, listen, COVID new for everybody. The pandemic is new for everybody.
True.
But we have to come up as a people with ways and means to work on how we could do something that could get reach to people and get relief to people. Because government cannot give relief to everybody.
Correct.
And to every sector. That is for sure. So if you guys are coming with novel ideas, is how it can work. I mean, I think the biggest risk that needs to be mitigated in most entertainment events, and we see it now, with the limited things that happens in different parts of the country. I know people have liquor fets here and there, restaurants have the liquor thing where they do karaoke and so on. The issue still is when we start to drink as a people, forget the protocols. And because historically we are people that like to touch and wine and grind and so on, that is a reality. And when we may come to you and say, listen, we'll do an event, the event we'll try to follow the protocols, but our people ourselves forget that. I mean, the classic is what we just spoke about earlier in Miami with those people coming on the beach. Everybody forget there's a thing called a mask.
Yeah.
And the environment. So there's a risk there and there's a management issue. And I know as we talk, going to Carnival.
But you're very good at managing risks.
Yeah.
And so we have to manage those risks.
Yeah, it is not about, and I suspect going forward, some of the ideas that will come on the table is maximum numbers to a venue.
Correct.
And having type of things before the protocols you have before you enter the venue. So, I mean, some of those things probably can work and we'll have to try it and see how it works.
Because remember, as Montee aptly said, everyone benefits, everyone. Yeah. When he puts on an event, when I go to the door, I meet his people there, and I meet the people from the VAT office right there.
Correct. And not only that,
in the government's business.
The bigger issue that Montee probably didn't speak in detail about is a psychological relief.
That's
a huge issue for us in COVID. I mean, and a lot of the reactionary behavior we're getting from young people and not so young is that there is no relief being in the lockdown and being conditioned and being constantly policed, not police, but police in terms of the protocols.
Yeah.
That has an effect on the psyche.
It does.
And one of the ways to alleviate the psyche is to have an entertainment event that people would enjoy, of all ages, but within some level of control. It is not as simple, it's not an easy thing, but the discussions have to happen. I think we need to find a way. Yeah.
Before I go to Mr. Campbell, our Facebook people say we don't engage them enough. So let's engage them this morning. Hey, good morning, Depo. You're up early in New York. He said, as I said to Eddie in a private conversation, the move of forming an organization to represent entertainers is excellent. My concern, though, the internal and external wrangling, that is more of a challenge. You agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Don Mark is saying, the reach is significant, and she's talking about the reach of entertainment. I offer personal development and coaching. I have been indirectly affected as well. If clients or potential clients cannot earn, then they won't be able to purchase my services.
Yeah. And I mean, as I say, the entertainment, I know of a particular business in the South that is a service provider to the entertainment industry, and that business has been significantly
Yes,
impacted
correct.
by the lack of events
Correct.
and so on. I mean, and this gentleman's entire business was built around entertainment.
Correct.
And you could well imagine how the business have been decimated because of
Correct.
the lack of events and the
Correct.
COVID environment.
Correct.
So it is not a simple thing, and it is something that we have to engage. I mean, and the more we engage, I think we are talented people. We have brilliant ideas that could come forward. We need to engage and see how we could work together. There's that aspect of security and the police and so
How do we
on.
address though? Because as you speak to promoters, as you speak to people involved in entertainment, they're saying that thing that Eddie is saying, that they come away hearing all the messages being put out and in private meetings and so on, they're coming away with this feeling that, it's just entertainment, not too important. So in terms of who's transmitting that kind of energy, I mean, how can we fix that?
I mean, we know, Byron, you know culture. Culture for us took years to get the prominence we have now.
Yeah.
Calypso is a good example. When I was a young man growing up, the only calypsos I knew about was Trinidadian calypsos.
Yeah.
We never
But you
knew.
always knew music.
Yes.
You always knew how
But
to
we
dance.
never-
You know
we-
about parties.
Yes, but we never understood
And how it makes you feel.
what we could do as a country and as a people. I just use culture as an example. Entertainment falls in the same thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
We now expose and we realize we are up there with entertainment as well. The kind of shows we could produce, the quality of shows we could produce. It is now for us to sit and say, how can we work with all the constraints that we have and put on.
Right.
I know there have been a lot of discussion about virtual events.
Yeah.
And our executive producer here is very well versed on this.
Yeah.
Putting on a virtual event is not as simple as it would appear. And the costs.
Yeah.
And then even advertisers, when they come into a virtual event, a drinks company may say, man, I prefer to have my tent with my logo on the ground offering
Yeah.
drinks to people
Yeah.
than going
Yeah.
virtually. I get more from that
Right.
than
They
having
won't
a
see the
virtual
value
event
in
and
it.
hoping a man
Yeah.
drink a beer while he's looking at a show.
They won't see the value.
Yeah, so it challenges all of us, even the advertisers, to get value for money when we put on these type of events.
And we need
you
to be
know?
more creative as well, because here we sit in a facility that can easily house 5,000 people safely. So I'm just putting that out there. We just need to put in the work and put in our heads. Mr. Campbell?
Wow, I listen, and it's always good to listen. Eddie, I mean, this is a dilemma. You know, the question of, it's like the devil in the deep blue sea. You know? So many lives, livelihood, persons that depend on income coming from the entertainment industry and any industry related to the tourism industry in general, that are affected, but more so on a local level, we have the entertainment industry and promoters fall in there. And all the people, the auxiliary people that depend on their livelihoods, as was said. So, and on the other hand, you have COVID, you have a pandemic, you have a global crisis happening, and it wants that once the industry involves having people together in clusters, it's an issue to be dealt with, because we know that's how this virus spreads. So how do we balance this to be able to operate in a safe, quote unquote, environment, and at the same time allowing all these multiple of individuals to earn a livelihood? And as you said, Chris, also the psychological effect, all the issues there. And where do we find balance? I'm glad to know that you're meeting with the Minister of Culture. I hope the association have a proposal, have some. I know you've talked about proposed capacity of venues, but as Chris pointed out, I mean, if you have the quarantine point, for example, the whole 10,000 persons, and you want to bring it to 30%, that's 3,000. Or you have aquarium 1,200 and you want to bring it to 360, 30%. These
Or
are
the
the real
stadium
numbers.
with 15,000, you want to bring it to
But as
5.
Chris pointed out, alcohol and music, that goes out the window. It doesn't work. Everybody comes together.
Or you could say sit down. So if you come to the stadium, because that's the thing, we need to manage the risk. And I don't mean, I'm just putting this out there for your further deliberation, Mr. Campbell. Because we just can't sit down and say, oh, well, alcohol and people. And
No.
You can come to the stadium and sit.
Yeah, I'm saying we need to consider all those things, because they are a factor, You know, when I look at the because I'm agreeing, and Chris pointed out also the virtual, and we see Wagati with his bingo, and some of these don't work exactly for the promoters, and
they don't work
and
for
as a
all
people
events.
also we want, and I feel that the pressure from the young people. I have children too, and young son, and you can see they want to go out, they want to do things. I mean, they're frustrated. How do we balance that? How do we taper that? What do we allow? What is reasonable? What is safe? What does the science say? You know,
And then
these are the questions. These are the issues. There's no easy answers to it.
But can I just say something? Because we always seem to be pointing out these things, and that is, we always push back on this.
Yeah.
Because we say, okay, what is safe, right? And we talk about what is a safe number, right? We cannot look at these things in isolation, right? Now, at the end of the day, if it is that the state of Grenada had 10, 20 cases of co-active cases, by all means, then you would take a different approach. And not just that, have the cases that we are aware that it's in quarantine, right? So we can't just speak of this case as though these are cases that is roaming around in the community, right? So if these are not, there are no cases in the community, there's no community spread, right? We're talking about music and drinking. Now, it's not to take a shot under the belt at anybody or any demographic, but the point is, the upper echelon of society still continues to congregate and have drinks, right? And still consume music in their circles, right? Why is it why is it because they have the ability, or they have the know, or they have the whether they can afford it to do a private party or whatever the case may be? Why is it that they could still continue to enjoy life as I say, nothing has changed for them? But we are the ones that have to suffer, and they don't rely on it as a livelihood. We rely on it as a livelihood. And as you correctly said, this is about people's psyche. This is about people's mental health, right? And it even touches on the same thing of youth, right? And as I said earlier on, is not to take there was an article going around on social media about people who sit on committees and boards and whatever the case may be, right? And you have to look at the truth in those statements, because at the end of the day, we were all young at one point in time. We were all robust and wanted to party and have a good time. We get to a different stage in life, and then we start sitting on committees, and these things, our priorities change. And because our priorities change, our way of governing, our way of just legislating is different.
When
right?
it should be the opposite.
When it should be the opposite.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
Agreed.
if everybody, the people that sit on the committees are people whether it's in the 50s, 60s, right, and no longer have that understanding, or pretend to not have the understanding, right, or feel
Let's
the
not
pain
bring
of the thing.
ageism into it, though, because I
Yeah,
think
I want to
ageism is
go
a
back and
thing.
deal with him on his upper thing.
Ageism is a thing we do in Grenada that's to our detriment.
Well,
but I get you, Eddie, and
yeah.
I'm totally with you on that point, because I believe, like you, what we should be bringing to the committee after we've had all our life experiences is those life experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we were
Exactly.
25,
Yes.
when we were 30,
Because you know what
when
it was like.
right,
Yeah.
to make those
But it
decisions.
seems like
And that is why I am passionate about a lot of things, because I dip into the well of my experiences. I think when people get to, they just figure, oh, I am so pious now, and no, let's bring be who you are and be, so I take that.
Yeah.
I take
But I
that.
just,
Senator Ali wanted to challenge you.
I think the upper echelon thing is a little overdone, because you see, when
Everybody gathering,
when you look at when you look at what happens
And
in
drinking.
Rivera and those beaches and so on, this is ordinary folk. You know, upper echelon there, right? And they have a ball. Sometimes we go excessive,
Everybody
and
having a time,
the authorities may have to come in and say, guys,
Shop
come.
lock whole night,
Yeah,
nobody
and
coming out.
You
We're
have,
drinking.
I have been to events in St. Andrews and different places where people have a good time, and the police are there, but the police are reasonable as well, because they understand certain things need to happen and so on. That's not upper echelon. Upper echelon have their thing as well.
Yeah.
But I'm saying to say that I think the real issue for us in entertainment is the control or the management of some of the extreme behavior that may, And yes, your point about not
Don't like
having
the word
COVID,
extreme.
Yeah.
not having COVID, and not the society to have community spread, but we may have asymptomatic people around. Because
Yeah.
remember, we haven't tested. The last thing I saw in Grenada, we tested about 23,000 people. That doesn't represent our population, about 20%.
Yeah.
Probably if we were to test another 20,000 people, we may find that we have people that may have COVID
So,
and
may
asymptomatic.
have-
So
may have
I'm
and
just
so
saying
on.
that we can't just use that alone.
Yeah.
But the conversation has to be holistic. I
That's
hear where
right.
you're coming
Yes.
from.
Yes.
Right.
And the conversation have to be holistic. Yes, our risk is very low as a country in terms of positive cases.
point.
And the question is, could we do something that could put on an event? And I don't like the numbers. I hear Byron talk about the thing because numbers for you may work against you. Because if I want to put on an event and you tell me my venue could hold 1,000 people, and I am staging my event on about 80 or 90% of that coming, or is the event making sense to me?
Yeah,
in terms
Because
of
it would be
financial-
too much.
Melody,
It would be too much just to put
Yeah.
on the event.
Yeah.
But the
You
thing
know,
about
so-
it is, why we keep dipping into the point of the risk with the COVID and our need to be safe and so on and so forth. I think what I am seeing and what I am hearing and picking up and have observed for a long time is us really not looking at entertainment as an industry.
Well, that's the point.
And
That's
that
what I keep
really
saying.
goes to the effort, the seriousness, the approach that's been put into it. And if we start looking at it, because it is an industry.
No, we understand
If we
that.
were to take just do a survey, just, Inland Revenue can provide us with numbers, Customs can provide us with numbers, all these government agencies could provide us with numbers that can lead us to a place where we're like, oh my goodness, what are we doing here? So it is an industry. So we need to start looking at it as such.
Eddie, given all that's been said,
Yeah.
in terms of the pros and the cons and livelihoods, I mean, what is the association proposing? I mean, does the association have a proposal, something that's workable? What are you going forward with to with the minister, just in terms of an outline?
Yeah. Well, you touched on some of it because we always have to go based on percentages, right? So in terms of, just to use a wrong number, if you have a venue that can hold 1,000 people, right? We might be able to say, okay, let's do 40% for whatever the case may be, right? But as I said, we're not unrealistic, and we also have to take into consideration that in coming up with a number, it has to be economical, it has to be viable. Right. So you have to spread the overheads and the costs of each person or each potential person.
And you have a new cost now, the cost to keep the venue and the event
safe, right?
COVID safe.
Right. So that is why our aim is to reach out to the authorities, and I don't want anybody to get really deluded by this. That our aim is to work with the authorities.
Correct.
This doesn't have to be any kind of a combative relationship.
No.
This is something that is about
we have
a
to learn to
discussion.
talk together
Yes.
and work
And we have to
together.
be able to learn to agree and disagree and move forward to the betterment of everybody, right? So as I said, that's why I'm looking forward to that meeting. But as I said, we want to also take some of the responsibility, right, away from the Ministry of Health, for instance. I don't know if you know the process right now, if you have to get an event approved, right? You have, whether it's private citizens, promoters, everybody, if you have to have an event and it has to be over the allowed 20 persons, right? You have to do an application, right? So they have to process all these applications. Everybody calling them, use my application. Why do that? We have an association that represents in excess of 200 people, right? That represents how many different families. We can be that firewall between you and the promoters, so they could pass the applications through us. We speak to you and we pass it on to them. So it cuts down on your workload if you get where I'm coming from.
You're talking about
right?
increased efficiency there
It's
as well.
increased efficiency because the wait time, my experience of the wait time, it has been ridiculous. Sometimes you put in an application and a whole month pass and you don't get any feedback. And in the context of events, time is crucial because you have to promote the event, right, and get it out there for people to come, right? We have never come out there. There are people that got stimulus and so, and I know it's a tricky thing when it comes to speak to stimulus or so. What we're asking for is support, right?
Right.
We're looking for support, and we're not ruling out any aspect of what form that stimulus
Would
might
look
be.
like, right.
But at the end of the day, doing events in this current climate would even be more expensive because, let's say, even security to ensure that persons abide by whatever the guidelines that we come up with. We have to get more
Because
security.
the biggest thing is the patrons, eh?
Yeah,
As
of
much
course.
as they want the Fed, they
Yeah.
would muck it up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so-
you know, I think one of the ways going forward, Eddie, probably your committee could consider, I think establishing of protocols before you enter a venue
Yeah.
is where you have to focus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when people get into the venue and they start to enjoy themselves, you
studying
can't
that.
tell a man to continue to wear a mask and dance and drink and eat and so
Yeah.
on.
Well, yes, that's understandable.
And to me, the real thing is you have to be hard and fast with the protocols before you enter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that probably is where the solution lies to a big way. Because if you get 500 people in a venue that could hold 1,000, you had good numbers.
Yeah.
And you could say to them, guys, enjoy yourself. You're inside here, but you know before you come in, you have certain critical things you must meet,
Yeah.
or else you
Yeah.
can't be allowed in. It's not just the admission fee.
So let me ask you this, right? As just like we all Grenadians and we consume them, right? So if we had to have an event whereby, okay, you said with people within, I guess, social groups, you know, people who lime together, right, can gather in groups of 20s. So what if we took something like this and apply it to an event platform, right? And say, okay, Brenda, you have your crew that you normally party with.
Yeah.
Guess what? When you come into the event, you go through all the protocols, the hand sanitizing, the temperature checks, doing all the different things. We do a layout, maybe one way in, no crisscrossing in highway, and we create a neutral space for you and your people to be able to interact.
Yeah.
Once you have to leave that space, then you'll be required to put back on a mask. Let's say you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go to the bar, whatever the case. Even things like,
Don't you leave your safe bubble?
yes,
I like that
once you leave
creativity,
it.
you know, like-
It's
Yeah.
good. So even things like, for instance, measures that we saw us putting in place, as I say, which would be which would add to the cost of the event, having waiter services.
Yeah.
So less people go into the bar. Right? Bottle service, which basically, if you have a group of 20, instead of each person, or you had to go down and buy 10 drinks, no, you can buy a bottle, right? And that bottle can share for the table,
Right,
So then it cuts down on the amount of times you go to the bar, right?
Absolutely.
So you're able to socialize and you're able to enjoy yourself.
That's it. You're
right?
talking and I get
Creativity.
excited. Actually, I've seen myself inside
Exactly. so you and me like to be in your little section here, and you looking across the alley and you little section and we're even there and all that.
Trust me, and Dali like he look a section, eh?
So my point is there are ways we can do this.
Absolutely.
You understand? It's just that you have to give us a platform and give us the responsibility
engage.
and engage us.
And you know what it is too, Eddie? It calls for work.
Of course.
We have to
Of course.
put in the work.
We have to put in
But
the
I mean,
work.
I hear Eddie talking these things, you know, and as you say, Brenda, I think they are excellent initiatives.
Yeah,
and we
man.
need to look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
because basically what Eddie is saying, bubbles.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have various bubbles in our
Safe
event,
bubbles.
in a venue.
You can get creative with the names. You can
Yeah.
do all
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And that could, to me, I see that as, again, all the protocols are there and you have things set up. And, you know, if people don't want to follow, you can't be in my fete.
So instead of having,
Of course.
you know, let's have VIP and
Yeah.
all them kind
Yeah.
of
Of
things.
course,
So
yeah.
you had a rum
bubbles.
bubble, you had a water bubble. I gonna be no water bubble.
Listen a minute. Even boots. Boots is something that has been a part of events for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just that if you want to do it now, you can do it in a creative way.
Absolutely.
And events is no longer like what we knew, like when you was growing up, when it was like a block hoop. Events have evolved.
Yeah.
When you go to an event now, the amount of money you have to put
Elevated,
on
yeah.
decor and this and seating and all these different things.
It's an experience.
Of course, right? It's an experience. So give us the opportunity, right, to come up and brainstorm and do and come up with the creativity. You might be surprised you walk into an event and you're pleasantly surprised. And what I'm saying is that we don't have to just do it all at once, right? As I said, we can do a pilot.
Correct.
We can say, okay, let's do this. Let's
See how
let's
it
do
works.
this.
Yeah.
Give us a chance to show you how we can do it, right? right? And just to bring it to Carnival, because I know part of this was about Carnival, right? Carnival is about events, right? And once you get that sorted out with your events and having a protocol moving forward, then Carnival is a foregone conclusion, because then you have created the conditions for Carnival, and as you see it, the successes of your experiment, then you can grow. Then you can say, okay, we might even decide to say, here's what. We've been talking about community carnival for how long? We might be decide this year carnival, every parish have his own carnival. Nobody cross any boundaries. I'm just saying. Just to throw it out there. Right? So if Grenville have his carnival,
or you could say
have his
particular
carnival,
events, probably, no jump up on the streets or whatever. Yeah.
But I ain't going that far to say no jump up on the streets.
No, I know you like to jump up.
But at the end of the day, carnival in itself is just 2 days. It's more of a season.
It's not 2 days.
That's what I'm saying. So we can't just concentrate on those 2 days and the masquerading.
No.
So if we rectify the events portion of it, the other parts would fall into place.
Spice Mass 2021, the events edition.
The events edition.
I heard this, Brenda, and this is unofficial.
Yes.
That coming from a Spice, this is unofficial. That officially there is no carnival. The Spice Mass Corporation is not to.
There's no officially.
No, I'm not saying
the
official.
Prime Minister of Grenada said there will be no official formal carnival. Let me just stop that carnival.
So hold on, I'm hearing. Hold on. My information. I'm getting some information that officially. So if there is, I'm not saying there is or there isn't.
Well, we shouldn't put it out there until it's announced.
I have not heard any formal official statement. So this is my take, personal take on this. If there's no carnival, should there be holidays? Or you think holidays add to the success of the promotional events, entertainment events?
Holidays.
Yeah. Well, our holiday was taken away last carnival, although that didn't stop you from going out and masquerading, right? But I think we should still have our holidays. We should still have our holidays. You understand? And as you said, and you see like this debate that you and Brenda have on whether there is carnival or no carnival or whatever the case may be. I think, honestly, that the authorities, and as I said, I'm not trying to be critical here, we need to be a bit more tactful, right, in the way how we disseminate information, right? To me, we have to do a better job of, managing people's expectations, right? And I say this because having this discussion about whether there should be a carnival, then every Facebook go crazy. There's no carnival. Everybody take away what they want from it, right? Just that little semblance of hope, giving people that there's something to look forward to, right? And I'm not talking about hope of enjoyment, I'm talking about hope of revenue and the potential to survive.
Creativity.
Because let me tell you this: with you just thinking, okay, as a food vendor, as a barman, as somebody that doing events, just the thought of, okay, boy, we might have carnival, so I might be able to make $1, I might be able to pay a couple months on my loan that has been backed up for how long, right? That might be the difference between you having a nervous breakdown or not having one.
No, you understand? So
what I'm saying is that
and that connection is seldom made.
Of course. So people need to do a better job of managing people's expectations and stop putting these things outside.
Let me say,
carnival and
to you that authorities are quite aware of that. I can tell you from discussions we have had already surrounding Carnival, but we need to understand something as a people.
I think we got too crazy because the Prime Minister didn't he didn't say there was going to be no
Spice
Carnival.
Mass, as we know,
he was managing us.
It's also a legal event.
Yeah.
When Spice Mass is launched, when it's launched, the police only get authority to do certain things because legislation comes into effect as a result of the launch.
Correct.
And don't forget, Spice Mass is more of an event show. A lot of events. So a monarch, this, that. There's a lot of events that happen. You could say that there will be a hybrid of Carnival without the events. Right? So I say that to say that, let's take for example Jab Jab. Slum is a big Jab Jab band and you want to have everything. you can't tell people that they won't be able to enjoy themselves on Monday morning, Juve to play jab. But you could do it on a controlled environment basis.
Yeah.
So you tell people, watch, you could have jab, but these are the conditions. Some, you could have your 500 people come in your band, but these are the conditions. People get an opportunity. The same vendors get an opportunity to say, boy, I could sell something because I know this happening in Montee. I know this happening in Bolio, right? And the police.
I see the chairman of the Spice Mats Corporation excited by what you're saying.
And the police get an opportunity, to have this in a controlled way, that you don't get out and people, like what we had last year in Sotes and some, and people just come out because they just felt, well, no, I will just defy the no. You understand? So it can be done, but I think managing expectations is one. But what we know as traditional carnival in terms of events, Soca Monarch, this, that, may not happen.
But those are the main events of
Right.
the
So
Spice Mats
that may
control.
not
So
happen.
The government could decide, no, we're not doing that.
But that doesn't say we cannot have controlled events for certain activities to happen in the communities, as you say, a kind of community carnival, but controlled.
Yes.
And people must understand that. And because at the end of the day, I think the authorities are
How do we
looking.
understand it if there's no communication of saying that?
No, and that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the discussions we have in the background now is, could we do this hybrid event that we call Carnival?
The normal thing we know is not going
Right.
it's unlikely to
No,
happen.
it's exactly.
And
It's
could
unlikely.
we-
I mean,
could we
given the
manage-
timeline and planning.
Exactly.
Could we
not
manage
there.
that in terms of security expectations and what events you could happen
But
at the
let's
community
also
level?
lift our deliberations because here's some great innovative ideas
Exactly.
and other things we can
And
do.
let me tell you,
So we can't look at it in the way we looked
from
at
all
it
the
previously.
discussions we have had, I've been part of a committee having looked into the discussions, is that this is about how we could do something to give people livelihoods in some, and trickle down, and at the same time understand that if we don't at all, it's going to blow up on us, because people won't just come out and just total rebellious mood. And this is not the intent.
Don't let's just do it for expediency, because we're so afraid of what you just said. Let's want to do it. Let's do it right.
And I think the discussion.
Let's be a template for the rest of the world.
The
We have a way of setting trends here in Grenada. Let's do that.
The slums guys who put on certain things will happen, because once the authorities decide, okay, we could do a hybrid event, this is how we probably want to do it, the discussions will come.
Because people on the committee also have to realize
if
that
you do a pilot,
while they manage what the state does, these are the people that have the experience. There'll be other people out there that have, the other ideas. So it's a merging. It's a,
As I said earlier on,
Yeah.
I'm not telling people stay in the lane. I ain't going that far, right? But you cannot be having a discussion on entertainment with all the critical components and people that make entertainment involved.
Correct.
Right?
But the people have
Everybody
been
can have opinions.
The people have been involved.
They have been
that
involved.
discussion starts since in February. And promoters have been there, masqueraders, calypso representations. They have a lot of people on that.
Well, so we need to extend out now.
Well, hold on. There have been discussion with individual promoters or the Promoters Association, because I can tell you.
Individual promoters.
Well, you see that, and there lies a problem, because there's an association, right? And if you're reaching out to individual promoters, don't you think there's a problem there altogether?
Well, yeah, probably. I mean, I am not the organizing person of the committee. I'm just saying there have been representation of a wide cross section.
Because
probably the association should have been there. I don't know.
Because at the end of the day, if you're reaching out now to one person or two persons, then you're getting up this perspective of individuals, right? We are in the business of representing everybody, something that could work for everybody, whether it's big promoters or small promoters. Let's
not use words like big and small.
What's
the engagement though? Because for instance, if I let's just use this example. For instance, anything I want to know right now about vaccine and all that kind of thing, and what's going on in the world, I go on Dr. Fauci page. Okay. You get me?
Yeah.
So maybe it could have been a situation where the government wants to start to have the discussion, or whoever body, and they're saying, okay, let's put on the biggest events in Grenada. So let's see what Wagi had to say. Let's see what Judah had to say. Let's see what Steve had to say. Maybe that was it. I don't think it was a stand, but it's at the stage now where it needs to become a real big
Yeah, but I want
melting pot
to make that
of
clear.
ideas.
It's not that it's not a
No,
matter
I get
of
you.
idea,
I get
because
you. I get you.
the same Wagiti and the big promoters are a part of our association. They come to our meetings. They give very valuable feedback when we have our meetings.
Right.
I like the idea that there is an
Yeah.
organization representing.
Yes.
That makes a big difference.
Long
But-
overdue.
But in listening to all of this, I think, I mean, the ideas I'm hearing coming from you, from the association, it seems that there, you know, the compromise and the understanding seems that something would happen. But I think the science must guide whatever happens.
Of course,
you know,
of
and the
course.
reality of the situation too.
I
Because we
think
know this thing is
that's
so
clear.
unpredictable
'Cause it
in
can
terms of, and
happen.
it's so dynamic and changing that it's an on-the-spot decisions. But I like the idea that you're dialoguing with the minister, with the ministry, and the association has a grouping. So it seems that there will be something is emerging.
Yeah, and I think the
let the science-
authorities, the authorities is quite aware of the difficulty the average person have faced without having events. They're also quite aware of the challenges of putting on an event and how it can be managed. And they are are not trying to justify, but they have started those conversations since in
Right.
February to say to people, listen, is there some way we could do a hybrid event that could manage all those things that you bring up in terms of promotion? And I really like the idea of this pilot event. And if that could work, how it
Yeah.
could work, look at the pros and the cons after the event and see how we could, refine it and so on and help with us getting. So I think we are really good idea. I said from the beginning, we have very brilliant people in this country, but our people are sometimes our greatest enemy of
Yeah,
ourselves.
because we always put lines of divisiveness. Yeah, we always
And
draw lines.
You might put on an event and you put on, and then we just mash it up because of our attitude and what we be.
Yeah, we always draw lines. We
And
need
that
to
and that
bring
is
some-
and that is the challenge.
And not just that, once you're able to get to that point, right, where we have that pilot and we have that template to work on, no promoter now have to wonder what it requires.
Correct.
There are protocols,
We could go as far as to have an approved list of venues based
Correct.
on what we're looking
Barbados
for,
have
right?
that.
So when we have so then you have and this is something that obviously, is not something that you would handpick venues, but you have, once you read the standard that we're looking for, whether it's multiple entrance or whatever the case may be, and make sure you have exits. Once you have this in place, then the person may not even have to wonder how much persons, because based on this venue, this is the
Correct.
this is what the amount that you can.
So Senator Diali was saying
right?
earlier which venues can hold XYZ
Exactly.
amounts of
Right.
people. But I mean, that's great. Great discussion. We need to wrap. Eddie, thanks.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
so
me.
very
Thanks for
much. It's really evident that you guys already put in a lot of work. And trust the meeting tomorrow with the minister is the start of something that is going to yield Senator Diali Spice Mass 2021, the events edition.
Yes.
I'm just putting it out into the atmosphere.
I know that.
I don't just release things into the atmosphere.
Butterflies,
And then the universe will just grab it. So thanks a lot. The one thing though, I think for the discussions to be successful, as you pointed out, Senator Diali, that the discussions have started, the authorities are looking at it. I believe your deliberations and discussions will be enriched from the input on their side, and so I trust that they can now form part of the wider body of that discussion as we move forward. All right. To GCNA, Grenada nutmeg seasoning. Listen, this is Grenada in a bottle. Grenada in a bottle. Senator Diali, you get this yet?
Yes. I mean, I tell you, I'm a big supporter of the value added at GCNA, and I tell you, the teas. I mean, we don't talk a lot about the teas, but the teas are also excellent products.
They are.
And the seasoning. Some people may have different taste in seasoning, but I think it's something they should try and really see how it works. And I could tell you the pepper. Well,
there's locally
I'm
grown
a pepper person, so I can tell you about the pepper.
Pepper sauce,
The pepper sauce has been
turmeric,
really good.
nutmeg, all that goodness in this bottle for your fish and your meats. Throw the powders. You know the powder with the stian. Throw that outside. Go to the GCNA and get yours today. Of course, those of you, Depot, somebody want to buy this and send this up into New York for you. You can go to the GCNA Novelty Store at the GCNA Complex on Kirani James Boulevard. Of course, get your GCD nutmeg spice tea. They have moringa, lemongrass, all the good stuff, all things nutmeg. And of course, nutmeg is Grenada. Again, Eddie, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having
Our
me.
best wishes. Keep up the hard work.
Always.
Good. Keep up the hard work. And our best wishes to you. Send good energies to you and all the promoters and entertainment. Gentlemen, have a great week.
You too, Brenda.
Be good.
Enjoy.
You too.
Until we
Thank
see
you.
next time.
Have to run
Thanks,
away.
everyone. Have a good day. Remember, it is World Water Day. Value water and the importance of water in your life. Until another Perspectives, which is next Monday, I'm Brenda Batiste. Bye-bye.